In Privacy Watch, Google has been fined $57 million for violating the European Union's new data privacy rules. The National Data Protection Commission said Google had a lack of transparency and a lack of valid consent for personalized ads for users.
And because of the General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, that went into effect in May, they have had to pay a hefty fine. It's the first penalty for a U.S. tech company under the new regulation. Jennifer Greigel is a social media expert as well as an assistant professor of communications at Syracuse University. Very nice to see you again. Often we get to see you here, but I'm glad you could join us this early in the morning. So explain to us what Google did to get these fines and why they're not complying with the brand new GDPR. I suppose I'm not surprised because it's operating under conditions that a lot of these tech companies don't have to comply with here in the United States. So this is brand new for them.
If you look at what the French regulator said, they actually indicated that the problem is at the infrastructure rule. So it's not like Google just decided not to, comply with this regulation. Their infrastructure is fundamentally flawed. Since GDPR and this record fine has come, we now know that, at Google, business is not, going to be able to continue the way that it has. The business model needs to change, and the product also needs to change.
So the violations were in regards to personalized ads. So what user information has been affected?
So it's any type of behavioral targeting based on what websites you visit, what type of content you might read, how you shop online. They're collecting all these types of data. But what happened here, too, is that when they were collecting that privacy consent, they were bundling too many products. So when you checked a box, which was often pre-checked, so they're trying to guide you to giving away your privacy, you were signing off for the multitude of Google services. So it would have been like YouTube, plus Google Maps, plus everything else in their wheelhouse. So again, they want slower, more granulated consent under GDPR.
So what does Google really need to do now? When you say it's an infrastructure thing, is there anything they can do really quickly to prevent themselves from getting another fine?
Well, some of the stuff like making sure that checkboxes aren't checked, that type of stuff is a little bit easier, but I do think they have a lot of work to do, but they knew this law was coming. And so what's going to happen too is they're going to see how much, they can keep as is, but these fines are going to add up. And I think that they need to invest a whole lot more resources in making sure that they aren't violating these new rules. And really, Europe is leading the way here. So you're going to start to see what's called regulatory harmonization, where the product at the infrastructure level is rolled out globally. And we're going to be the beneficiaries here in like the United States, where we don't have these types of privacy regulations yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because this is the first penalty for a U.S. tech company, so we could probably see more.
Oh, absolutely. And this was the French regulator said actually that this was the first and time they did it, but it was also the max that they could impose. So this is the French regulator and European regulators showing that they will go as hard as they can on the fine, and that Google really needs to take this seriously. It'll add up over time and establish a history of company wrongdoing.
Yeah, they certainly said we mean business and we're not going to give you any wiggle room. There are also reports that the Federal Trade Commission here in the U.S. is investigating whether Facebook violated privacy rules. So what type of penalties could Facebook face for this, and what would it really mean for this platform that has really already been struggling a lot with privacy issues?
Yeah. So again, this is still more fallout from Cambridge Analytica, which happened last year, where we found out that Facebook was essentially being used to harvest user data. And that was a huge scandal because of the implications here within the U.S. Presidential election around gathering information on people to then target political ads at them. So what was happening there, too, is that the FTC had a consent decree in place, and they're now investigating, based on those reports, what happened there, to see if Facebook violated those rules. And what we're seeing reported on in the last couple of days is that they could hit record fines, maybe one of the largest fines ever. And so, again, sometimes these fines may seem small, as in this case here, 57, I think it was euros or millions. And when you have a billion-dollar company, that may not seem like a lot, but again, it will establish a history of wrongdoing, and they will be able to increase the fines going forward.
All right, Jennifer, always great information from you. Thank you so much.
Sure.